Everyone, Father Jared coming to you for today's daily reflection. This past week, I read about something that I thought was deeply insightful that used mythology or story as a way of kind of explaining a phenomenon within life. And that is that in many of your mythological stories or within your kind of fairy tale stories, there's always this dragon or this similar kind of monster that lives somewhere outside of your community, your village, or whatever it is. And a lot of times the lessons that you learn in those mythologies or those stories is that either you go to that dragon's lair and confront it, or it's going to come to your village at one point or another. And metaphorically, that story that is so common within our culture actually tells us, and what it explains to us is that either we confront the issue at hand, or eventually it's going to come back and probably come back to bite us and do some damage. An example of that, in kind of the exterior is perhaps you're at a job and you really struggle to stay on task, or you just don't really get the job and can't really grasp what you're actually supposed to be doing, and you can't get it done competently or with quality work. And you have a choice. Either you do what you need to do in order to figure out that job, so you ask for help, you try to put in extra time to just figure out and grasp the situation and get a hold of it, or you can just let it go and try to kind of hide it maybe. And then eventually what happens is it's going to come to roost, and you're going to either get reprimanded or maybe even let go. And so that's kind of an exterior example of how that metaphor plays out. But there's also interior issues, which can have external kind of manifestations, but interior issues that we need to confront within ourselves. If we, that we have to confront, or otherwise it can come back in a bad way. And I think an example of that is something that I'm experiencing right now, and I'm sure some of you may be experiencing too. And that is learning how to say goodbye or grieve a loss, because I am really, really looking forward to going to Holy Angels. I really am. I feel blessed to be that close to my family, and but it's still hard for me to say goodbye, to move on, and to just accept that loss. Now I'm beginning to do that, and I think I'm doing that pretty well right now. But I have to confront that within myself, that I'm actually grieving, that I actually feel some sort of loss within myself as I'm preparing to leave. And I've got to do that, and I've got to encourage all of you to do that. Because if I don't, well, first of all, I'm failing you as a spiritual father, because I'm not teaching you the proper way to orient yourself towards reality. That loss and grief is a part of life. Life is hard, man. It's so hard. And this is one of those times it's hard. But if we do the right thing, I know that I have to say goodbye. I know that by doing that, I'm helping me to move on, so that way I can give myself completely to Holy Angels Parish. But then I also know that hopefully I'm helping you to accept that I'm leaving, because if you're able to accept me leaving, it's easier to accept whenever Father Jedediah gets here, to accept him for who he is, just as you accepted me for who I am. And that'll be better for you, it'll be better for me, and it'll be better for him. Doesn't mean that it's not painful. It is. It's deeply, deeply painful. But it's something that we need to do, to learn to grieve, to confront the issue at hand. Because in doing so, we can begin to move past that pain, accept it, figure out how to, work that into the new reality, the new normal. And then we can move forward with our lives and become more integrated human beings that can become the saints that God's calling us to be able to be detached from the things of this life, so that we can move forward in our discipleship of him, to cling more fully to him by clinging less closely to the things of this world. And so I want to encourage each of you to do that, that I know it may be a temptation to perhaps, Father Jared's going to be close, so I don't really need to say goodbye. Please say goodbye in whatever way you need to, so that, you can make room in your lives, in your hearts, for Father Jedediah. That way, we can all continue to do what the Lord is laying before us. We can confront the issue at hand, so that each one of us can become more faithful disciples of the Lord.